Hello, everyone. I am going on this live. Ooh. Hey, sis. Hi. All right, let's see if she can come in. Hello.
Hi, I'm so excited for this.
Oh, sis. You know what? I don't know. Am I on Spiritual Crypto or am I on Starseed Mystery School?
You're on the school one.
I'm on school.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cool. Awesome. How
So
are you?
I'm really, really good. It's exciting times. I'm really happy to see you and connect, even though we're always connected. So I'm excited because we're going to be talking about that energy
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that connection that we organically have. And we have
Mhm.
forgotten because we've been so distracted, right? And we're just going to jump right into it.
Yes, let's go.
Let's go. So everything is energy, and the energy source that anything organic has comes from God, which is Father Sky, right? And then Mother Earth is what feeds us. So that's our mother energy, right? And we're the energy in between, right? We're these light beings. And we've literally forgot the power that we have as humans, that intuition, because we've been so distracted with all the outer stuff now in the world, right?
Right.
And so it's time to refocus. And I want to give an example, and I'm so glad that we're doing this together because I know that you have so much knowledge that you can reinforce what I'm saying because I know I don't know everything, but together we can connect the dots, right?
Totally.
Um,
Absolutely.
so as energy sources, we've been able to measure that around the earth. So around the earth, they literally have um, generators around the earth that they can measure the energy around the earth, right? So back when Princess Diana died, everybody was in mourning. Everybody was in like the same frequency of praying because she had so much love for the world, right? So everybody was in the same frequency of loss, and they were able to measure that the earth had rose, and it was the energy force, right, that was rising, which was all humanity at the same time mourning, right? And so as humans, we have that power to connect because we all come from the same, we've come to a point where we're all mixed, you know and but the main source is that love source, which is the energy source of all living things that God has given us, right? Creation, our creation, that plants have the energy, right? Any living organic thing has it. The problem has been that we've been literally polluted so that our light dims, right? Polluted by poisoning us, right? So they can control us and we don't have that direct light. So getting back to the measuring, one of the last times that they were able to measure around the earth was at 9/11. Okay, when 9/11 happened, they were able to measure that energy source rising, which all humanity, they were in mourning, they were scared, right? So they started praying to a higher self, right?
Right.
And when that happened, we were able to see that, right? So that's one of the last times that we've been able to be connected. So now 2020, we're going through all this. We're actually doing a world prayer to try to get that connection again. So people understand that we are the natural web. The web that we're on, the internet, all that is the fake web. The actual true web, we're already connected, but we've
Right.
lost that connection again from what we're eating. We're eating trash. We're not eating organic food that gives us energy, right? What are we eating? Like, for example, McDonald's, right? Is in the patty itself only a very small percentage meat, and the other part of it is fillers, man-made particles that our body will accept because it's mixed in with organic matter, like meat, right? But then our
Right.
body doesn't know what to do with it. So it creates disease. And in the United States, we are the ones that are mostly poisoned because we're the free thinkers. We're the ones that are going to bring the world into what it's supposed to be, which is the free world, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
the ones that have the power. So what do to us? They poison us. And we're allowing it by eating these things, right? So we dim our light and we dim our energy source, right? So we're not eating, and I'll say again, you can be plant-based so you can suck in all that energy, or you can be like how you are. You actually get your meat from a different source. You're eating meat like our ancestors, right?
Right.
So there is no right or wrong. Your true self will tell you what to do. For me, I've been plant-based since 2016. My body, when I connected to myself, to my body rejected the meat. Literally, I was in the hospital. And now I know that with my blood type, my body does better with plants and vegetables. Again, we're trying to suck in all that energy source organically in a good way, because God made all of this for us, right? To magnify our experience on earth, right? And we
Yes,
have
absolutely.
forgotten now. We've now indulged in food and poison our body, because indulging is also a sin, right? You're not eating for purpose. You've forgotten, right? And I'm
Absolutely.
talking a lot, but bring something in, Jasmine.
Oh my gosh, no, I love it. Spirit is just channeling through you. Just keep on going, because this is exactly what people need to hear. This is exactly the Great Awakening. And
It
just
is.
one thing that I wanted, go ahead.
And it is, it's the great awakening. And, a lot of people say, like Christians say, it's one way, it's through Christ. And it is, because Christ means love. So it is one way. But Christians will understand it with Christianity through Christ. But other people, like natives that know the earth, they know Mother Earth. They respect it. And they know it's an energy source of giving and taking. If you take too much from the land, there's going to be a consequence, right? So
Right.
I received a message back in 2013. And back then, I thought I was going crazy, because why would I get this message? So when you become of the world, you forget your true purpose, right? So I believe, or I know, that in 2013, I was so of the world and looking for outer completion, that my soul was compromised. And so because my soul was about to be compromised, God gave me an awakening. So the angels took me, and I had what you would call an out of body experience. I write a little bit in the book that I wrote, but that was in terms of people understand. It wasn't the time to say this message, right? This was
Right.
7 years ago to the day of when I received this message. So 2013 is a very important year, because in 2012 was when the Mayan calendar finished. It wasn't
Right.
that the world was ending, it was that we were entering a new constellation. We
Oh, I
were
got
entering the,
chills when you
yes,
said that.
entering the time of the Aquarius. So we've been in the cusp of Aquarius, which is the time of the golden era, okay, for 7 years. 7 years, a very, very important number in the Bible. Anyways, we've been entering in that time. So in 2013, God was like, hey, all the angels need to wake up. You guys need to remember what the mission was. Because
Yeah.
I had become of the world, and I had looked for it, again, completion, because we're sold this thought that we're not complete. Even with soulmates, they say you need your other half. No, we need our twin flame. And that's what it is. So we've been in the mud, literally coming out of the iron era, the time of belief only, because we didn't see it. We had to just believe. The time of the iron, which is the time of the mud. So we've been getting out of that. And that's been the time of Christ in the male version, right?
Yes.
So we're now coming in to the Aquarius 2013. I received that message, and the message was out of body experience. And it was reminding me what my mission was. And my mission was to tell the world that we were eating trash, that we needed to get back to self and start focusing on the basics. We need to control what we put in our temple, because we're dimming the light with all the trash we're giving it. So we're literally poisoning ourselves, because all disease comes from your intestines, from your stomach. So if your
Mm-hmm.
stomach is constantly full, right? Because they teach you, oh, wake up and eat. No, that's not the way it was supposed to be. You were supposed to wake up and be thankful and be grateful, and then work the land, and then make a meal, and then sit down and talk about that and be mindful about what you were eating. That's not what we're doing now. You are taught, or you're programmed to wake up and eat. If you're not a child and you're growing, you don't need to wake up and eat. So if your stomach is full, the number one job for the liver to do is to process all that food. And if the stomach is always full, you can't process the toxins, all the poisons that they're literally giving you in your food. That's why the number one cause of death in the United States is obesity, and the consequences to obesity, to abundance. It's like they're getting drunk on food.
Wow.
That's a sin. That's a sin. We are literally polluting ourselves. We're killing ourselves. And that was my message. And back in 2013, I wasn't a world champion. I wasn't any of that. I was of the world. So I thought I was going crazy. God shook me, showed me, brought me back here and said, okay, there you go. So I literally was I was walking with God for a period of time, because the world here was so different from the message. What I had created wasn't what my path, what I had promised to God that I was going to do. But he had put a lot of people to sleep because he didn't want us to see all the ugliness of the world, because we needed to populate so we could get to this time where humanity would be ready for it, right? So he tells me this, and in these 7 years, I've grown, and he has put me in places so I can learn about the world and put his story together, right? Bodybuilding took me to the Vatican. I saw the truth about the Vatican. Bodybuilding took me to Budapest, where I learned about vampires, that they were real, the fallen angels. They drink blood, they drink adrenochrome. Like all these things, God put me in these places, not because I chose to be there, because he took me. Obviously, I don't control the bodybuilding, and they chose what part of the world we were going to have the championships, right? And then I became the one that did the interviews, right? And that connected me to women and men around the world that were doing things for purpose. So it wasn't just me. It was showing the world that we can all do it if we start with self. We find our purpose. We get rid of the trash. We find that light. And you could call it whatever you want, right? You could call it the Holy Spirit. You can call it, because words is just whatever you agree on, right? And words are powerful. Words are whatever you say, you become. And we've forgotten that. That's why we listen to all this trash music. And then we say, well, why do we feel this way? We have to control what we're listening to. Back in the Aztec days, they would tell you that the mitote is all that noise in your head. Today, people look at that, Mexican people like me, I looked at mitote as the outer gossip, taking it from one person to another. We've forgotten that we start with self. Everything we have put it out, and we've forgotten to use all those words and all those things to start with self. And that's where we're at.
Right. Absolutely.
And the power of that energy, and we need to clean it. That's why fasting is so, so, so important, right? And all these people that I met around the world, they were all, in one way or another, they were the black sheep at one point in their life, because they were doing things out of the box, out of whatever the family before them did. So now they're doing this bodybuilding and they look selfish, right? They're working within and they look selfish. They're doing it naturally, though. That's the difference. When you do it naturally and you're not putting chemicals in your body, you start doing your soul purpose. So all these bodybuilders, they all have a purpose. They're not just working out at the gym. They literally have foundations that they help orphanages. They work in the military doing, all kinds of things. They're doctors. But they all find their true purpose through finding your true self. And we have to get rid of the trash to find your true self, your mission, because we've forgotten. And this is the time to connect with self. And that's why fasting does it very fast. So if we don't eat for 16 hours, right? Between 14 and 16 hours, your body starts going into ketosis, which means it starts to get all the stored fat and all the toxins and starts to process it through the liver, because now your stomach is empty and it could do what it's supposed to do, repair your body, right? If our stomach is always full, you can never process those toxins, and all those toxins create disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, everything. Now you got to understand, I received this message in 2013. I don't know this knowledge I'm telling you today, because 7 years God took me to places so I could learn this and testify his story, his message. And as I'm speaking to you, I have hummingbirds, right?
Oh,
And
yay!
hummingbirds are native to the
Yes.
Americas, and they're the messengers of God. That's what the ancient, my ancestors, the Aztecs, believed.
So
So,
beautiful.
anyways, every morning I wake up and I say, thank you for having another day. I say, bless my eyes so I can see the beautiful things of this world. Bless my throat so I can say words righteously when words are needed. Bless my heart. May I hear the message clearly so I can walk what you need me to walk to. Bless my hands that I might create beautiful things. And bless my feet. May I go where you need me to be. And I do this every day with true intention of love, because I know right from wrong now, because I have that connection. And now we go with our third eye. That's our intuition. So with all these heavy metals that we get polluted with, our third eye, which is our intuition, are like what we connect with every human being, especially our family and God, right, is calcified with heavy metals, because heavy metals are in your toothpaste, heavy metals are in your water, heavy metals are just literally in everything, in the air, right? But our body can get rid of them by fasting, right? When our body goes into ketosis, we can get rid of them. We can also take apple cider vinegar. There's many ways of, balancing your body, but we have to decalcify our third gland. That third gland, when the heavy metals are the number one cause of Alzheimer's. Why do we have Alzheimer's today? Because now you have tons of heavy metal, and our third eye is kind of like a pine cone, right? It's literally like a pine cone, and it's supposed to be open. And when it's open, you connect like a lotus flower. You connect to self, you connect to your higher self, you connect to God, right? But if it's calcified, you have no connection. You're literally like a zombie, right? You're living from the world and what the world programs, right? So it's supposed to be open. So again, they've been trying to pollute us, and now it's the time of knowing all. And when everybody knows the truth, then everybody has the same power. No one's more than the other, right? Because for 6,000 years, knowledge has been used for power and to control. And others that wanted to do good with knowledge were prosecuted. They wanted to kill them because they were witches, or they were doing things. For example, Christ, he was doing good things and he was crucified, right? We are the people, my family, my bloodline is the people that followed Jesus out of Jerusalem after he was crucified. We knew the truth and we hid for thousands of years until we could repopulate. But we knew the truth and we had to hide. Everything we learned from him, it had to be hidden. And we went and hid in what now is known as Mexico, which is, a lot of people came to the promised land, which is the Americas, to escape prosecution, right? Because it was the time of the Inquisition. If you didn't become Catholic, they would kill you. But it was so we had to pretend, okay, we're Catholic, but behind closed doors, we would read the Bible. Behind closed doors, we practiced differently. So my ancestors hid in the kingdom in Spain, which was at the tip of, before going to the Americas. And we hid we hid in plain sight. We were the healers, the doctors of the Spanish kingdom, right? At the time. And then one day in the late 1500s, they found my ancestor praying and reading the Bible. And so when they found him doing that and they knew he had Jewish blood, they said, oh, you're practicing a different religion. And now we're not going to kill you because for generations you've healed the kingdom, right? With what Christ showed us, that the land heals us. Every living plant has a purpose, right? So we learned that and we implemented it, right? So now they said, since you healed the kingdom and you have a purpose and you are the, you know, part of the tribe of of Christ, we're going to let you go, but you can't work here in Europe ever again. So you and your family are expelled to what in that time was called the New Spain, which is now Mexico. Okay. So they get there with a letter of the king saying this family is protected, because back then, if you were exiled, they would kill you, right? Because you weren't following the plan. But they got there with the letter of the king saying, this family is going to have this land and don't touch them. They're fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that man that was the doctor ended up marrying, because now he's given all this land, right? From the king. The king gave him a land that wasn't his because it used to belong to the emperor, which was Montezuma, right? The natives, right?
Yeah.
So my ancestor, instead of killing the natives or making them their slaves, because that's what they would do, he married the granddaughter of Montezuma, and that's my dad's bloodline.
Wow. I love how you know all this. This is so important.
Yeah, I'm telling his story, but it's my bloodline, so I could prove it. Like literally,
Yes.
God, the last place he took me was to CERN in Switzerland. We're the World Health Organization. So now we come full circle, right?
Oh
The web, right? Why did he take me to the web? The web is trying to duplicate what God has created, which is our energy source to be able to connect. So if we have a computer in front of us, and if we have distractions in front of us, it's trying to emulate what we already have within, right? But we're distracted, so we forget to connect. So I'll give you an example. So they did this an experiment with a bunny. A bunny had just given birth to a bunch of little bunnies. They left her on land. They got the little babies, put them in a submarine underwater, and one by one, they killed the bunnies. Every time they would kill the bunny, the mom would go crazy. It was her self-connection because she has no distractions. She's an animal.
Right.
We are the children of God.
Right.
We have that God gene. We are his children. So if that bunny has that power, can you imagine what we have?
Yeah, that's insane.
And the web has literally, it's killing us, because now we know the 5G. Now we know the invisible rays that it's throwing and literally weakening our lungs. Now you put a mask on so we can weaken it even more, because we breathe oxygen and we let go of carbon dioxide. That's poison. If you keep breathing in the carbon dioxide 24 hours a day, because that's what they're doing now. If you watch the news, they want you to put it on even in your house. Breathe. If you keep telling yourself, I can't breathe, you will not breathe, because what you say, you become.
Right, absolutely. That's so truth, Nora. Wow.
Ooh.
Oh, I love it.
There you go. Yoda speaking right now. They used to call me Yoda when I was a kid, and I used to hate it because I never even saw the movie. I was born in 19 and I used to go to school and I have this huge forehead, right? And my mom would always like pull my hair back in like little ponytails. And I would go to school, this little girl that looked different than everybody else because I grew up in Inglewood. And I had anyway, so she pulls my hair back and I'm always have this huge forehead. And they would call me Yoda. And I'm like, what is Yoda? And then I saw what Yoda was, like this shriveled up, ugly little green thing. And I would cry. I would go home. I'm like 7 years old. And I would cry, Mom. And my mom had no idea who Yoda was because my mom didn't even speak English. So, but now I embrace it because Yoda means knowledge, right? And she barely got it. Or like now I'm watching The Mandalorian. And it's like at 50, because that's how old Yoda is, the baby Yoda. You're barely getting to know the knowledge. And society here in the United States, by 78, you're dead. So if you're barely getting the knowledge at 50, can you imagine at 78, you only have 28 years. And they put you in this system to work constantly. And then you don't retire till 65. And then you're all polluted. You can't even walk because you don't exercise because you put that in the back burner. You put food back in the back burner, where fuel should be the number one thing, because you need to start with self. If you have no health, you have nothing. I don't care how much money you have, right?
Yeah,
so again, this knowledge, if the whole world knows, right? we awaken to the truth and we're all equal. And that's what it's
Right.
supposed to be, because we're all the same. At this point, our blood is all mixed, literally, you know, and we have will, good and bad. So we need to choose. And now we all need to focus, you know, and love and self. Look at that big force over. Hi. Thank you for joining us.
You are so right, sis. This is so true. Like, I love how you are giving the perspective. This is so the start of the Great Awakening, because I love how you give your perspective, because everyone has a different mission. Everyone, like how you said, God brought you to these different places, and within your ancestry, that's how you connected the dots. And that's how you know specifically, this is my mission. This is not
Right.
anyone else's. And so I really love how you got to explain that during this live. And so, I would love to go on another live with you where I can go ahead and explain on my end. That way we can go ahead and connect more dots, because I would love to go down this rabbit hole with you even more.
Because that's the thing, Jasmine, that we need to do this, because God's going to get all his children, not just what Christianity thinks, that just through Christ the man. No, God's going to come through. And again, we can go down this rabbit hole with you, because a lot of people back just a few years ago, they would look at you and think you're crazy.
Right.
What is Jasmine talking about aliens? Now they disclose that Jerusalem
Oh my
is
gosh,
in
I would love
contact
to talk about that.
with the beings of light, because there's two different beings. There's the negative, which has controlled the world, which is the fallen angels, right? The reptilians. And there's the light beings, right? But they gave us will. They're our creators, right? And until we want to rise, they're not going to interfere. And it's time to rise. So I'm going to leave it at this. Pacific time, we're all praying at the same time, meditating, call it whatever you want. We're focusing on love and light every single night. My time, California, 11 p.m. It started in Paris, so it's 8 o'clock in the morning in Paris. So the whole world is praying at the same time, and we're trying to just raise a vibration and hold light until everybody joins. So every day, 11 p.m. Pacific time, light a candle, set your intentions for love. God does the rest.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Many
much,
blessings.
Mara. And yes, let's definitely get back together again, because there's so much more we want to talk about. I want to leave it here because I want people to just get a little taste for what's going to happen between us.
Okay, well, the sun is shining. We're alive. So thankful. Love you guys. Many blessings. And post this and I'll repost it.
Yeah, sounds good, sis. I love you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.